Hi, and welcome to RTN's Menu Synchronization Standard webinar. We're really excited to be with you today, and this is going to be a really eye-opening webinar talking about one of the industry's many standards that the RTN is putting out. We just released an open API framework, and that 8 key principles are the foundation for what we're building on for all of these standards to come. This is just one in a sequence of many to come. So if you're talking, if your systems are talking to each other and you're exchanging menu data, this is the webinar for you. So let's get started and dive right in. I am so excited to welcome my panelists today. We have George Haddo, he's a senior BI developer with Mod Pizza. Hi, George. Welcome to the conference call today. We have Christy Trinkler, who is the Senior Director for Product Marketing and Strategic Partnerships. Christy, that's a long one. Hi, Christy. Welcome to the call today.
Hello, everyone.
And Christopher Siebes, who is a partner with Results Through Strategy. Hi, Christopher.
Hi, Angela. Hi,
Welcome.
everybody. Glad to be here.
Glad to see you, Chris. And we have Susan Lucas, who's the CIO with Cooper's Hawk. Hi, Susan.
Hello. Nice to see everybody.
Good to see you, too. Parajat. Parajat, I might butcher your last name. Jauhari? I hope I got it right.
You got that right, yes. Hello, everyone.
VP Product Development with Q. Hi, Parajat.
Hello.
And last but not least, we have Sean Schenkel, who is the CEO of Fresh Technology. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Angela. Hey, everybody. It's great to see you.
Great to see all of you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over a little bit about what kind of was behind the curtain to help this menu synchronization standard come to life. We're going to talk a little bit about all the hard work that went behind it. We're going to have a roundtable with our panelists here about why this is important for the industry, right? Both from an operator perspective and a supplier perspective. And then we're going to talk about how you can get your hands on this menu synchronization software standard and talk a little bit about what the current work groups are. And we're going to allow you to answer some Q&A at the very end of the discusussion. But jumping right in, the menu synchronization work group started in October of 2020, and we had about 50 meetings, 1,200 plus volunteer hours from technology talent, both from the operator side and the supplier side, to bring this thing to life. We had about 20 average participants on the call, and one of the calls, at least, we had about 90 people on the call. So as you can see here, all of these key contributors, we are grateful for every single one of them. They put in time and sweat equity, a lot of technological know-how in the restaurant technology space to bring this up. So we appreciate it. We're grateful for all of the work that's been brought to life here, especially with our panelists that joined us today. As I mentioned before, we just released an open API framework with 8 key principles. This is the foundational standard upon which all of these other things are really stemming from. So you can get your hands on this at the Restaurant Technology Network website. All of these tools are going to be available for you. Our goal is that the industry starts to adopt standard by standard by standard so that we can all start focusing on innovative new technology developments that each technology company, I believe, is so good at independently. Whatever your secret sauce is, you can focus on that, and all of the systems will just kind of start seamlessly talking to each other. So that's really the goal when we talk about menu synchronization or any of the standards that we have coming out of the RTN network. So I'd like to now invite my panelists to talk to us a little bit about why this is important. George, if we can start with you, I would love from an operator's perspective just to understand why menu synchronization is key for your business.
Oh, because we are trying to keep that menu standard across a lot of different applications. Between our stores, possible menu boards, kiosks, loyalty apps, online ordering, on all the rest. And each of those needs a different integration. If I can simplify that and do it as a one-stop, press one button and all is good, my life gets a lot easier and my company can react more quickly.
Right. Definitely understand that. And then Susan, I think you would echo that. Anything to add there about just kind of what you see as in your business? Obviously, you both run very different restaurant formats, but how is this menu synchronization standard and really all the standards that are coming out critical to you? Susan, you might be on mute. We can't hear you.
Yep, I did the mute thing. Thanks, Angela. Yep. And I think as George kind of highlighted, it's that standardization across all channels, right? You know, I've been in a couple different concepts where it varies from application to application. You know, we've had a couple examples. We had one just a couple weeks ago where we had a gluten-free picture that was different from the regular menu picture, and the wrong one got loaded, right? And so we had people like, this is not a gluten-free dish. And it was just because we had pictures here, we had pictures here, we had menu information in various different places that it's just maintaining, you know, 6, 8, 10 different copies of the menu, whether it's printed, online ordering, etc. It really takes a toll, time and consistency-wise, to make sure that all matches up. So this is a wonderful thing for us. We're very excited about it, just to minimize that maintenance and errors. You know, we've had, you know, I'm sure everyone on this call has had that too, is you put out a new menu and you update the prices in the POS, and then, you know, you look at the printed menu and you're like, oh shoot, that doesn't match, you know. And it's sometimes the POS is the source of truth, and sometimes the printed menu is the source of truth. But in this case, it's like, all right, you know, we can't charge guests too much or too little. We got to make it match the menu. So, you know, there's all kinds of examples about like that. And then I think, you know, one other example that may not be so apparent in the menu sync standard, but when you get into it, it can be really helpful for a lot of different concepts and formats, is we'll call it the combos. We spend a lot of time talking about combos as this group, is, you know, we have a 2-meat combo or 3-meat combo, and then you make that meat combo a combo with a drink and chips, and this will simplify that and make it a little bit easier to put those together and then pass those to a downstream system. So there's a lot of really good benefits in this, and it just simplifies the process and quality of it, so there's not different experience between your operators and your guests and your support staff that are doing it.
Yeah, those are great examples. George, you and I'd love to just talk briefly about, if you can speak to, you know, I think one of the biggest consumers of this menu data these days is the third-party delivery companies. Can you speak a little bit about how this will kind of alleviate those pain points?
Well, so far they all have their different integration. And if I can, and sometimes their menus may not include all the elements that I really need for analysis in the long term. So if I can be sure that I have the same structure going to them, whether or not they use everything, I can still get everything back in a way that's quickly digestible, and I can give some quick analysis for the folks who need to see what's going on. You know, this gives us a way to quickly throw out a flash deal of something. They were deciding to do something off the cuff. You know, instead of it being a 3 or 4 day preparation to do it, we can do it on the fly almost.
Mm-hmm.
Which
We spend a lot of time, as Christopher, Angela, we spend a lot of time ensuring that we could flatten out a structure that the POS may have, where it supports multi-level, deep parent-child relationships, you know, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren that all roll up to a parent. And those are often natively supported in a POS, but may not be supported in a third-party solution. So we were able to flatten that structure out, so that if they don't support that deep structure, we can still share the menu and have it be meaningful for any of the recipients.
That's great. That's great.
I think
Christy,
very similar to George's. Very similar to George's issue with the third-party delivery marketplaces, right? We have the POS menu structure, as Christopher mentioned, but when it shows up in those third-party delivery marketplaces, our online order has one format that then feeds to the delivery marketplace, and we get different views and different consistency between the menu and the structure in there, that it's really user-friendly in the online, but when it gets to the third-party marketplace, it's difficult to view or to read as a user or as a guest, right? And so this will help streamline that, so there is consistency, and it's a good user experience all through.
and everyone gets the same. So
right. I mean, speaking the same language, right? Just the data fields are equal, right? And when that happens, there's like, you know, there's no glitches. I would assume that when the systems are talking to each other, if everything is equal.
Yeah, there's no defined standard today. So if you want to integrate with 3 different third-party delivery solutions, you may have to have 3 different interfaces. And what we sought to deliver with with this standard was to have a single integration, so that POS vendors and, as George said, kiosks or third-party delivery, if everybody buys into the standard, then there is no integration. It's just a seamless exchange of data, and much less work to bring on a new channel for a restaurant operator.
Yeah, that's the key. And Christy, I want to go to you really briefly, because I know that your whole world is about menus, right? So tell us a little bit about how you see this, like some of the interesting use cases, or how you see this really helping the industry.
Absolutely. So at Trayvon, we deal in menu management on a daily basis. So this we jumped in head first with this standard because we've seen a lot of our integrations be one-offs. And we've also seen restaurant brands really struggle to get solution providers to open things up and to move that menu data. So our hope is that because this menu sync standardizes a common language to be used across the industries, that speed to integration will be quicker, to Christopher's point, and that standard documentation that we provide to the industry includes really good use cases as well. Some of those things we've defined roles when it comes to those use cases, like what is a menu publisher versus a menu subscriber. We also have created message flows for auditing between systems, which I think is really important. How to create menus, set up new locations. If we have a standardized way of doing this, then that heavy lifting that usually falls on the brand teams or technology teams, that could be lifted, and we can really do some great things together. We just need to get everyone on board. I continue to be kind of surprised that we're taking a one-off approach to integrations. So my hope is that with a standard like this, third-party delivery companies will come on board. We'll standardize the way to brands to enlist solution providers to adopt the menu sync standard. I think that is going to be key, is to getting the brand word out there that there is a standard for these providers. And the whole goal is to make it sustainable, scalable, and to continue to evolve over time to make menu management that much easier.
Yeah, well said.
Christy, I think one point that Christy, to highlight that, is having the standardization makes it easier for brands of all size to take advantage of this, right? You don't have to have a technology team to build that or have somebody do that for you. It makes it accessible to a broader audience.
Right. It's a democratization of it, right? You don't have to have the big bucks to have technology working for you, right? And then we should all have that. It should all just be this shouldn't be something that we have to spend resources on. If we have the talent that we have in this network to create something like this, and I think it will evolve, and get better and better and better with time. And we spend a lot of time and effort towards it. But I think as the industry adopts it and finds ways to improve on it, it will be even a slicker tool than it is today. I want to jump to Sean and Parajat because you guys are point of sale companies. So for example, Parajat, tell us a little bit about Q, how you guys would embrace something like this and what you would do with it.
So I mean, this is really exciting. That we've come together as a group to pull some of this together. I mean, we have worked on a lot of different integrations, online ordering integrations, third-party integrations with loyalty companies, menu boards, because everyone knows that if you have a point of sale product, that is your source of truth, and you're trying to share that information with all of the different areas. And so, we have to, based on the kinds of APIs that are available to us, we have to understand each of these third parties, online orderings, menu structures, do they take images? Do they accept calorie information? Do they accept, images? I mean, these are all things that beyond sort of the basic menu, which is the menu item and price, all of this information is coming from your point of sale, and it's going to all of these different areas. And so if you don't have a standard format, you have to take, a case-by-case approach. You have to look at each third party's API to understand what do they support, what do they don't support. can you turn a store on or off? If the store is not accepting orders, do you want to give different lead times? There's a lot of capabilities that you have available in your native point of sale, and not having that in all of the integration points, right? But also having it implemented differently is super challenging. And so again, we have done many of the integrations already with the third parties and online providers. But our hope is that as the industry evolves and adopts the standards, then as we get a customer, a brand that has a local delivery provider, right, that they want us to work with, that integration becomes really, really quick, right? Because everyone's following the same standard. I think for us that is the hope, right? So it's the long tail, because that is a sort of a real challenge right now for a lot of the brands, right? So everybody has a few third-party providers that they work with, and you can integrate with that. But then you have the small ones, the local, the regional ones. So I think this standard is really, and I'm hopeful that the standard will help us, in that area.
Yeah, and Sean, do you echo that sentiment? I mean,
I do.
Are you feeling the pain Parajat's expressing here?
I do. And so, this is really an interesting conversation. I mean, and it's a very powerful one and a timely one, I think, for multiple reasons. And there are sort of 3 or 4 that really come to mind. So we've got, with our To-Go Technologies product and our Fresh KDS product, which are the 2 primary products. And so we really focus on that relationship between e-commerce down into kitchen. And we have to live and die by what goes on in the menu system, right? The menu management system that comes from, the POS or some sort of source of truth by that. And I think here's what it is. In businesses like all of us here, especially as technology providers, what we want to be doing is focusing on solving business problems for operators, but oftentimes we get mired down in the technology infrastructure required to solve those business problems. And so you've got these tensions in the market. You've got, as we've talked endlessly about how COVID has really sped up technology, off-prem, e-commerce adoption for the restaurant business. We know this is the new world that we live in. Removing those technology choke points is essential for us to be focusing on the business problems that we're trying to solve. And it's business problems that live for the operators that we work with in margins, right? How do we increase e-com adoption in this segment during this day part with this product or this LTO? And so to do that, when we're having to really spend a lot of time overcoming hurdles of technology, when you add up the cost of that, both from us as with regard to innovation, but then also the brands with regard to data management, and to Susan's point, revenue discrepancies because of the variety of pricing and then guest experience and how that impacts guest experience, it becomes big really fast. That this one concept of menu management really drives a lot of those forces. And I think it makes sense, right? We're at a U-joint in our industry. We're sort of at a pivot point. We need to move from one place to the next, which is, historically, our industry has grown up through point of sale as being an on-premise entity, and sort of the point POS providers that have been there for a long time have had to work to adapt to a very fast-changing environment where it's been moved to cloud and been released. And we as innovators want to think, how do we create new innovation? But sort of forcing that transition has needed to happen, sort of a menu standardization for a long time, so that brands can innovate, technology providers can innovate, and we sort of are removing this burden, or we'll call it a tax, even maybe not necessarily a financial tax, but this tax that really just provides a sort of an anchor to sort of a weight to keep us from sort of unleashing what we need to do. And the market is demanding it. So I think it's timely, I think it's necessary, and I think it allows all of us here to focus on solving business problems or help solve business problems versus just being mired in technology problems.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I was gonna.
Go ahead. But I think we need to get to the questions. So after your comment, Parajat, we're going to switch to these because great questions are coming in.
Yeah, I was going to just say that, I echo everything that Sean said. And I think really I think Susan mentioned this, right? Or George did also. I need that one place where I can go in and press a button and write it 86 everything everywhere, or the price changes everywhere. I think having the standard is really going to enable that, because we started with Q with that mindset, that we want to enable, the management across the board, omni-channel from day one. And I think not having a common standard really hinders that. So I think this standard would really help, as it gets adopted.
Yeah, and it builds trust in the data. Especially if you're at third, I can control from my POS to say my online ordering, but that online ordering to say a loyalty app or whatever else, there may be gaps that we don't know about, or things we're not sure is coming through. So being able to trust it is a big deal for us.
So let's jump into some of these questions. This one's from Hooters. How do you address the problem of the DSPs not offering more than 1 or 2 levels of nested modifiers?
So we designed the standard to.
So who wants to tackle that one?
Well, we designed the standard to accommodate for that, and so you have to flatten out those grandchildren and great grandchildren to allow the DSP to build, to take that data and build the on-screen menu in the way that their software supports, and there's different levels of support in different applications, and so we designed for that.
I think it's also. Sorry, Susan.
I think he's right. And I wanted to dive in really quickly. I think Christopher is right on that, especially from an execution standpoint. I think to answer the question in its sort of its most raw form, it's this, and it's the adoption of this. And it's brands saying to the delivery providers, adopt this, please. Because, it has to come from the technology providers, but more importantly, the brands sort of laying that pressure on, because it is a business problem for the brands. Sorry, Christy, I think I interrupted you. Apologies.
I think it's like all the things that we are putting out, as part of the RTN work groups. If the brands don't pressure the vendors to adopt, the standard kind of dies on the vine, and right. So Sean's spot on. We need the brands to push their technology partners to adopt the standard for it to work.
I think that is a great thing to end on, and we only have a couple more minutes, but I just want to say a lot of these questions that are coming in are about adoption and how are we going to get the industry on board with this. One question here from Sweet Green: which POS providers and online ordering integrators have plans to adopt the standard? I would tell you from Sweet Green that a lot of, if you just look at our member page on the RTN site, all of those brands, we feel that we have the support of the industry behind these standards. But as Christopher was just saying, it has to be, it has to take some action. It has to be the brands really saying, and like we had in the Open API framework, when we had Inspire, CKE, and Yum, they all said, this is the new Open API framework. These 8 key principles are critical to our industry, and this is what we're going to adopt moving forward. Write it into the RFP if you have to. Does anyone else have a response to that? Because a lot of these questions coming in are about how we're going to get folks to adopt it.
Well, I think Q and Fresh Technology both would say we're adopting it.
Yes. We built our menu with infinite depth for us. So again, we have this already in our product, but again, I think the idea is that everybody should adopt this similar standards, and I think that'll help with this information interchange.
Right, and you can see on the slide now that these are the companies that came together to create the standard. So several point of sale companies, even Open Table, and lots of restaurant groups. So if I'm correct in saying, if I'm so bold to say, Susan and George, you guys will be advocating for this standard moving forward as well for your brand.
Oh, definitely, yeah. No question.
Well, I hope that answers some of the questions in here where we didn't get to them. We only have 1 minute left. Susan, I'm going to let you have the last word.
Yeah, nope. I was just saying if George and I will be pushing for it, and we will have our other brand partner friends as well. So I think there's a resounding need from the brand partners for that, definitely.
Yeah, what I'll do when we conclude this call, I'll go ahead and send you guys the Q&A, and we can answer these Q&A and send it out to our. I just wanted to kind of put this back on the screen. You can scan that QR code or go to restauranttechnologynetwork.com and look at our technical documents under the resources tab to find all of our standards, all of our tools. We encourage you to join us at RTN and help us create these standards. Our standards and our best practices and everything we publish is only as good as the participation we have from the industry. So we hope you'll join us and march along to kind of create these standards and get the industry on board with the ease of integration. So, hey, I want to thank all of my panelists today for doing such a great job. And thank you for joining me. And I hope you guys will reach out to these folks if you need any more information about the standard, or reach out to me directly. Angela Diffley, I'm the co-founder of the Restaurant Technology Network. I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.